everyone, and welcome to Beyond Focus TV. My name is Angie Daniel, and I am the hostess for the show. On tonight's show, we are going to talk about awareness, breast cancer awareness. We have with us Ms. Suzette Shepherd. She is the president of the Brooklyn Sisters Network. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'll introduce her to you to talk about all the different ways we can prevent, because, you know, like first step, taking care of ourselves for breast cancer. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Beyond Focus TV. We have with us Ms. Shepherd. Welcome.
Hi.
First, I want to say thank you. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for being here, and thank you for helping the community to be aware of the things that we need to do to take care of ourselves. Usually when I start the show, I'll ask my guests to introduce themselves, to say a little word to the community. Then after that, we'll get into our conversation.
Okay. Well, my name is Suzette Shepherd. I'm the president of the Brooklyn Chapter Sisters Network. We're a national organization. I'm a survivor, and it's survivor run.
Yep.
I've been surviving for 2007.
Okay.
Yeah, 2007. So 5-year survivor, going on 6.
Yes.
With stage 3 breast cancer. I did chemo and the radiation. And I was looking for a support group, and that's what led me to the Sisters Network.
And when I read your story, I automatically felt like, oh my God, you have to have so much strength to be able to not only finding out that you have cancer, second, taking the next step of, okay, I'm going to take care of myself and the reasons why I need to take care of myself. And third, saying to yourself that, you know what, I did not have this. And then I am going to put myself forefront to help my community to do better. So first question I have for you is that how important is it to have a network of people around you to help you through your situation?
It's very important, especially with people that's have already been through it, so they can help you out to go through it. And it's very important to keep your morale up, your spirit up, because without like family or extended family, you know, you're not going to make it.
Okay. So how many people are within the network, and then where did it start?
It started out of Houston, Texas, out of a need. Karen Jackson is the person that is the founder of the Sisters Network. It started out of Texas, and it spread from Texas on. So she has chapters throughout the United States, like 44, 45 chapters. And we are one of the chapters, excuse me, in New York. Well, the only chapter in New York, actually. Okay. We have 3 sister chapters in Jersey.
It's just providing ways so women can take care of themselves.
Yeah, it's a breast cancer organization. It's not just support groups. What we do, we help with mammograms, doctor's appointments, medical medications, and we have different programs like Gift for Life Block Walk.
Yes,
where we
I have a couple of questions on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where we do monthly meetings at the churches and stuff like that to inform sisters at the church about the Sisters Network, because it's very important to see one of our own that's going through. I was going to say. And that's why I formed it, because when I was out there and I didn't see anybody that looked like me. Yeah. So then I decided, you know, let me, you know, when I get through my chemo, then I was going to start the chapter.
I mean, that's why I said to him, like, oh my God, for you to, at that time, to make the decision. So tonight, what I would want for you and I to do, because part of what we do in our show is to inform the community, inform the community of how to, from basic things, you know, like taking care of oneself, exercise, education, any way we can help the community. If I could make a difference in one person's life. Because I used to volunteer at health fairs.
Okay.
For the simple fact that I know there would be one person that was in dire need of an emergency at that moment, and never failed. There's always that one person that have high blood pressure. There's always that one person that sugar level is always too high.
Right.
So part of tonight's conversation is if we can get one woman into a position to just check herself, because you never know.
Right.
You never know. And I know as mothers, as wives, as sisters, as child of parents that are ill, we always take ourselves last. We take care of ourselves at the last. Because I only take care of myself when something's really wrong. Like, you know, like you go to the doctor when there's a need for it. You don't really, like, I've learned to go to my yearly doctor's appointment because I set it up the same time as my daughters.
Okay.
So we would be able to do it at the same time. But if it wasn't for that, you know, I would be last on my list. What we want to do tonight is to bring mothers, daughters, sisters to understand that if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to help anybody else.
Exactly.
So let's start talking about the first step of having yourself tested. Should people do self-tests or should they go to the doctor and be tested?
Both.
Okay.
They should do self-testing. And when you go for your pap smear, the doctor checks you anyway. But you can't count on him detecting if there's a nodule or you have a calcification going on there. So you have to check yourself. Like when you're in the shower, just put your arm up and, you know, check your breast and feel if it's anything, you know, unusual. And then when you go back again, check it again. Okay. You know.
Is there a time of the month you should check? Because sometimes I've heard people say, well, it should be right before your period. Some people say right after your period. But you're not, like,
Well, it's 3 times you should check. First of all, when you're just starting out, you should check it before your period so you can know what they feel like. Then during your period, excuse me, and then after your period. So then you get some idea what your breast feels like. Okay. And so when you go from that point on, you know that if you check it before your period, this is what my breast is supposed to feel like. Okay. If I check it during my period, this is what my breast is supposed to feel like. Okay. So you won't get, you know, yeah, exactly. You won't get scared right away because, you know, when you have your menstruation, then you have like calcifications, your breast is all sore and tender and everything. So the tissue inside begins to swell up. Okay.
Another question that I have for you, and still, you know, I want people to have, like, let's use our imagination in terms of, like, right now we're doing like a self-exam, right? Like you have your eyes closed and you're doing your self-examination. As Black women, you know, we have extra tissues, we have extra fat within our body, and that's one of the things that you and we've mentioned earlier that that's part of way to prevent, right? We need to take care of ourselves. We're going to continue the self-check, but I want you to explain to the community, it's like how we can, like while testing, there are part of our bodies that we need to take care of a little bit more than others. So we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to take a short break beforehand because I want people to be aware of what can happen if they don't take care of themselves. So we'll be right back and I'll continue our conversation. Welcome back to Beyond Focus TV. If you are just turning on, we are having a conversation about breast cancer awareness, how you can help yourself beforehand, during it, and afterwards. So we took a break while right in the middle of us talking about like how to do self-exam, because there are 3 ways you can do self-examination. Right. You know, on a regular basis, women, whether you are 25, 21, 35, 49, you need to do these examinations. And what I was talking to you about earlier was about the weight, like how we Black women have extra tissues, right? Like, you know, people are thinking that it's not true. Even, you know, like the smallest group of people have extra breast tissues, and so they need to be aware of how to do the breast exam, right?
Right. You need to be aware of how to do the breast exam. And not only that, but you need to if you're heavy, lose some weight.
Lose some weight.
Because if you don't lose the weight, then you can't tell what's going on in there. Even if in a mammogram, they won't be able to tell.
You would not be able
because
to tell.
our tissues are dense and it's hard to detect in a mammogram. So that's why we have to do self-examination. So we do the self-examinations, praying that we don't find anything, but if we do, we can detect it. Now, if you're on the heavy side, it'd be harder for you to detect because you have all this extra tissue and skin all around it.
Yeah.
So my sister is one of those people that when she lost weight is how she detected her own nodule.
Exactly.
And it just happened to be cancer. Not saying that every nodule that you detect is cancerous. It could be, calcifications or fatty cysts or whatever. But the point is that you won't be able to detect it if you're not in good health.
Okay.
And, slim.
So part of, I know everybody says, like we were not made to be this size.
Right.
I understand we're not made to be this size, but even with that, like if you work out, you eat well, we lose weight. That's one way of preventing, or one way of being able to detect certain things. Because breast cancer is not something you can just say, like I'm gonna get it, or I'm not gonna get it. It's part of family history, and then part of it is it just happens, right? So, but you need to be able to take care of yourself in terms of getting to the next level. So, talking about getting to the next level, one of the things that I know Sisters Network do is helping people pay for the mammograms. And how do you guys do that? Is there an organization that you guys work with, and how people can benefit from it?
We get contributions. The chapter itself gets contributions, and then National gets contributions. Well, National is a 501c3 organization, whereas, we have applications for our constituents to fill out, and we submit it back to National, and they, pay for it because we get the price of how much everything's going to cost. But being in New York, mammograms are free, really. If you can go to the state,
in some places.
Well, most of New York is state. Yeah, okay. It's free. You go to, excuse me, the state building in Harlem. They give you free mammograms. Planned Parenthood gives you free mammograms. So, and even downstate has started to do free mammograms. So that's within our neighborhood itself. Okay. But throughout New York, there's free mammograms. They just did a big conference on that at NYU. During the summer, last year, because it's been 2003, but in 2012, talking about the free mammograms that's available even with NYU.
Even within NYU?
Yeah, so they're out there.
So, like, there are places, like Planned Parenthood you mentioned, is there a specific number? Because I know, for example, for prostate cancer, I'm not deviating the conversation, that there are a group of people who, like men's group, who'd walk around and give out a paper. Right. And then for you to go, do you have to wait for that, or do you have to go to a health fair, or is there like a number that you call for it?
Well, you can call for Planned Parenthood. The state state building, where Clinton is, is right there in Harlem. You can Google that and get that information, or they can call us.
Call you guys.
We have a list of where you can go and get mammograms. Yeah.
Okay. When is the best time to have a mammogram done? Should you have it done before you turn 40? I know everybody says you have to be 40, but there's also the history of it.
Right. So if you have history in your family, they do something called a baseline mammogram. So that's earlier than your 40s. So sometimes it's in their 20s, like my daughters, it's in their 20s. Okay. They've had their mammograms already. And it all depends on your family history. If you don't have a family history, then they'll do just self-examination, and the doctor will check you, once a month for your yearly checkup.
Once a month?
Once a year. I'm sorry. Once a year.
Once a month?
For your yearly checkup,
okay. So, I know people talk about it's really painful. Ladies, it's not that painful. I'm not going to say my age, but I'm going to say it's not that painful. So I've heard, right? It's not painful to do.
But it's really uncomfortable. That's what
uncomfortable.
It is. Yeah.
But it's really important. If you can go through a couple of minutes of being uncomfortable for a lifetime, I think it outweighs.
Yeah, I agree. However, that's not the only, you have to ask, and it's not the only way of detecting whether you have nodules. They have a blood test now. Okay. And they have another 3D.
What's the blood test called? So when you go to your...
It shows, it'll show a little higher levels. I'm sorry. I don't know that one. And then they have the 3D. It's like a mammogram, but it's 3D, and they don't squish you. You see, flat, because that's not a natural position of for your breast.
Yeah.
You know, of course, men discovered this and designed that, and they're not trying to make it any easier for us. But there is other options. And you have the MRI that also you don't have your breast all squished down because it's not natural, and you still can miss something in your breast because it's not a natural way for your breast to be.
Okay. So let's just say if somebody were tested, right, they were to find out like they have breast cancer.
Right.
What are the first steps they should take?
Well, depending on what the test says. So you have a test. It says, it doesn't say that you have cancer. It says you have a nodule. Now, then you have to have a biopsy. And then from the biopsy, it goes whether you have cancer or not.
Okay.
And if you don't have cancer, you just don't have to worry about it. And if you do have cancer, you need to find a cancer center and get a second opinion. You don't need a second biopsy, but you need a second opinion to take all your paperwork, and anywhere you go, you ask for a copy, and you take all your paperwork and get your second opinion. And once you get your second opinion,
so you must always get a second.
You should always get a second. I don't care what kind of surgery it is, whether it's breast cancer or whatever. You need a second opinion.
Okay.
So once you do your second opinion, then you find a cancer center. Because the treatment at a cancer center than in a hospital that doesn't have an oncology department is much different.
Yes.
So you have your files following you everywhere, and all your doctors is all on the same page of what's going on with you.
Okay.
And that's how you started off. Okay. And if it has to be surgery, you discuss that with your doctors, praying that it, doesn't have to be surgery.
I have a second part to this question, but we're going to take a short break, and then I'll ask you that question.
Okay.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation. Welcome back to Beyond Focus TV. We are here with Ms. Suzette Shepherd having a conversation about how there's no guarantee of preventing breast cancer. However, there are ways we can take care of ourselves. And then one of the things I read on your website is that within African American women, the rate is higher than much higher than Caucasian women. Why is that?
It's because of the disparity with black women going to the doctors, getting themselves checked out on a regular basis, or even thinking, okay, well, there's something wrong here. Even if you find something, and you still don't go right away, you wait a year later and go to the doctors, which is not good.
Yeah.
Because it could be something, and you could have addressed it when it was earlier on. Instead, we wait till it's like stage 3.
Yeah.
And then look what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're not saying you're going, but you have a lot to go through to fight to get back. And even with the medical profession, you have a doctor and you say, oh, I found something. He says, oh, ain't nothing in there because, you're too young to have anything. But we're getting younger and younger women now in their 20s that's coming up with breast cancer. And it's frightening to see. But in white women, it's getting less and less. But in black women, it's getting more and more each year.
And so it's because we're not. What is it that we're not doing?
We're not eating right. We're not taking an active role in our health. We can't help someone else if we're not, our kids, our husbands, if we can't help ourselves. But that's the problem. We need to put ourselves first, take care of ourselves, and then help your kids. That's what they always tell you on the airplane.
Exactly.
You put your own
oxygen
first, and then do your kids. But black women don't tend to do that.
I mean, part of one of the things that we talk about all the time is how we're not educating ourselves for us to know certain things. We're not aware of things. We're not being our own advocate.
Right.
So now we have Sisters Network. What are you guys doing for the future of getting people to not just take the mammogram, to get involved, to be their own advocate? What are you guys doing?
Well, we go out and speak at health fairs and at churches and at seminars. We try to get the word out to sisters that cancer is not a death sentence. It's no longer, you know, the C word. You have to whisper it and all that.
Talk about it.
Yeah, you know, it's not like that. You didn't do something bad to get this. It just is. And you have to move on from it. And that's the part that we need to drill into people's heads, because everybody want to keep it secret. Even
how
to
can
this
you
day.
help yourself? Exactly. If you
or even help someone else, because I don't went through it and I know what it is. So I'm going to share it with my other sisters to say, well, you know, it's not a death sentence. You're going to go through this. You're going to go through that, but we're going to be okay. In the end. And
that's what we need to do. We need to get people to understand that, you know, it's not just once you take care of yourself. And it's funny because in all walks of life, people have different mindset, different ideas of what cancer means. You understand? Like for some people, it's like, okay, you know what? This is what happened. I'm going to take care of it. That's some people's motivational like that. And there are others just like, oh my God, this is the end of my life, right? And then they take it that way and they make it happen.
And it's your mindset.
It's mindset.
Yeah, you have to have a positive outlook. That was my mindset. A positive outlook is like, okay, my kids are all in college and they're getting ready to graduate. It's time for me to do me. And just at that point, I find out I have cancer.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, I'm on a train ride. I'm just derailed, but I'm still getting back on that train.
I like
go
that.
ahead. You know what I'm
derailed.
saying? Yes, and that's how we have to look at it. And you have support systems. You have us. You have support systems that's going to be there to see you through it all.
You know. So what are you guys doing right now in the upcoming months?
We're getting ready to do something at Mount Pisgah Baptist Church with Johnny Ray Youngblood, our pastor. Announcing he's going to be our pastor for the chapter. Then we're going to do the Gift for Life block walk. We're preparing for that now.
Okay. What is the Gift for Life?
Well, the Gift for Life block walk, we have health professionals come in like a health fair. And then we go self-examinations, invite them back to meet the other health professionals that also deal with cancer and stuff. And have a light lunch and, you know, everybody tell their story.
Okay. Do you have a specific time that this is going to happen?
We're going to do this in October. I'm looking at the 13th of October, but we'll probably be having something in the interim, in the meantime.
I know you guys are doing something in March.
Yes, at Mount Pisgah Baptist Church.
Okay, so that's the whole day. If people would want to be involved, how can they?
Well, they can contact the Sisters Network Brooklyn chapter. We have a webpage and Facebook.
What is that?
Brooklyn Chapter Sisters Network. That's the web page, and you can Google it, and all that information come up. What we done did and everything. And then, you know, the phone number also will come up. We have our own web page, which is that, and then we have Facebook. So we, you know, it keeps.
I mean, there are a couple of things that I think people need to be very aware of. Not only that. If you are sick, if you live within a community, you should do whatever is happening to you. There are other people who would support you. Like we have the Brooklyn Sisters Network, the chapters. If you go online and you just read about it, you need to find someone where you can say, you know what, this is someone just like me, a black woman who's gone through it, so I can do it. I can educate myself. I could do better. There are ways I can prevent, like, precautions to take. I don't want to use the word prevent, because you can't prevent certain things, but you can make yourself very aware of how you can take care of you by doing self-examination before, during, and after your menstruation. You also need to be able to take exam, you know, once a year. And then, you know, because we don't really check our eyes, and we're thinking like there's nothing wrong with us. Because once you're 30, I never understood that. Like once you turn 30, right, you must have your eye check every year, because your eyes and the rest of your body coincide into one.
That's right.
You know, so we have to take care of ourselves first, so we'd be able to help our children, help our community, and do better. You understand? Because that's the only way we can move on. That's the only way we could grow. And part of what we wanted to do tonight is to get people to know that there are places where you can have free mammograms. There are places where you can go for free physical. Don't wait until next year when your insurance kicks in. You can go right now. It'll take you a little bit of time, but it can happen. So this is the end of our show.
Weekly monthly support group
Support
meeting.
group,
We
yeah.
have it next Thursday, every
Where-
Thursday.
every Thursday?
At the Y, Bedford Y.
Bedford Y.
From 6:30 to 7:30.
And people can come. And if
Right.
people wanted to
Always
volunteer,
welcome.
where can they?
They can come. They can come to the meeting too and let us know that they want to volunteer and where they want to, fill in at. And
Okay.
they can help us get the word out to other
Okay.
sisters.
Last word to the community, if you have anything you would like to say.
The Sisters Network is here to service you, and we invite everybody to come in and be a part of.
All right. Well, thank you for stopping by, Ms.
Thank
Shepherd.
you.
You are so welcome. Hope you enjoyed the show. I did. I hope you've learned something. At least take that so you can go and do self-examination. I will see you next Tuesday, same place, same time. Bye-bye.
Un jour j'ai décidé de quitter mon pays. Où est ma route? Je ne sais pas où je vais, mais je m'en vais. Malgré l'amour que je lui porte, je dois quitter mon pays, ma maison, mais je vous garde en moi. Un jour j'ai décidé de quitter mon pays. On va s'amuser, 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 on va couper, 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 on va décaler, 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 décaler. Je pars dans l'espoir de revenir, mais pour vous je veux réussir ma vie. Regardez le malin Dieu le petit. Regardez le malin Dieu le petit. Vraiment je m'en vais à pied mais c'est trop loin. Je ne sais quand retourner. Dieu Toro, qui a déjà vu pied gauche de poulet dans sauce graine que j'ai nous. Mais Pikrou c'est dans s'amusement que poulet monter sur sa maman même temps quoi. Écoute-moi ça. S'amuser, 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 on va couper, 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 on va décaler, 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 décaler. On va s'amuser, 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 on va couper, 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 on va s'amuser, 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 Écoute-moi ça, ça fait mal.